Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women in Retail Talks. I'm Melissa Campanelli, the co-founder of the Women in Retail Leadership Circle and the brand and content director for the Retail and Travel Group at NAPCO Media. I'm so excited about our podcast today. Jasmine Bellamy, the head of merchandising at Reebok and Women in Retail's director of diversity and inclusion, will be interviewing her friend, Leslie Short, the founder of the Kavu Group, a DEI strategy firm and author of the new book, Expand Beyond Your Current Culture, Diversity and Inclusion for CEOs and Leadership. Jasmine and Leslie will be discussing what expanding beyond your current culture really means for leaders and companies, as well as offering actionable tips leaders can take with them around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So with that, Jasmine and Leslie, why don't you please take it away?
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to be able to sit and have this conversation with you, Leslie. And we're going to jump to it quickly. I actually would love for you to maybe help us understand why this book, why this title, and why you felt it was important to bring this forward at this point in time.
You know, I did the book because when I was looking just for my own research, everything felt very academic. And then you would hear conversations and everyone would say, it doesn't work, DEI doesn't work, diversity doesn't work, inclusion doesn't work. And I said, stop the madness. This is not magical. We're speaking about human beings. In order for us to do something new, shift our thinking, we have to expand beyond ourselves. And so actually expand beyond your current culture was my tagline, or is my tagline for the firm, for the Kavu Group. And we were speaking about the book, I had a different title, and all the buyers and the publisher said, why are we having this conversation? It should just be called exactly what you say all the time. Expand beyond your current culture. Who are you? What do you know? And then what more do you know about someone else or something else? And if you don't do that, then you are not only limiting yourselves, but you are really limiting how you can interact with another human being.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that what you just said is it's not, the title is very directed towards CEOs and leaders. And we have CEOs and leaders in our group. So they're going to definitely want to hear specifically the nuggets that you have to offer. But what you're saying is it's actually beyond that. It's actually for every human. So I'd love for you just to talk about that a little bit more too.
Well, in business, sometimes we get stuck on data, and data is good, but attached to data and numbers are people. And so if you don't take care of your people, then your numbers will not grow, your numbers will shift, and the numbers are not real if you're just checking a box. So you have to do more than that. You have to understand culture. I'm not asking you to walk in someone's shoes. That's unrealistic. That's not. But you have to be able to say, how does this person have equity in what I'm trying to build? And equity doesn't always mean money. It's understanding how they can succeed and be successful with you, and for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's the underlying theme in what you're saying is cultural intelligence.
Yes.
It's cultural humility. It's empathy. It's understanding, and it's not being self-absorbed, and really and even just the word expand itself, it challenges us to grow and to stretch.
Yes.
So you're actually calling us to be more than where we are right now, and I think that's a really powerful call to action.
And more than what you think you are or can be.
Oh, I love that.
Because there's so much more to all of us as individuals. We see what we see and we know what we know of ourselves, but have you ever really given yourself an opportunity to expand and understand someone else's world? It doesn't take away from you because, we're about the me. It's not about you. It's about how do we take you and I and turn it into us and we in order to move this forward.
I love that. So I actually wanted to take that us and move to one of the other important things that you mentioned in the book. And you mentioned nothing about us without us. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due, and that came from the disability world. And it came from so many companies, organizations, towns and cities building things and doing things. It was not taking in consideration that disabilities is sight seen and unseen, number one, and that why are you having these meetings if none of us are at the table? And then it became a rallying cry way before George Floyd's murder to really say, how are you speaking about diversity and inclusion, but you're not asking anyone that may be diverse what exactly we want? Maybe we don't want affinity groups. I don't need to sit across the table to speak to someone that looks like me if no one is there as a conduit to go tell and share what the concerns are and how can we build this and look at this differently. Then we're just all speaking to each other. So in order to grow advertising, marketing, PR, sales, whatever, if you're going to be speaking to a community, place, people, thing, then those community, people, place, things need to be at that table with a valid voice at that table.
Yeah. I love that. I had a professor once mention that idea of looking around. And so in our culture at work, we talk about who's not in the room, who needs to be in the room. So you're really giving us that really important reminder to make sure that before we're embarking on work that we might want to do to strengthen women at work, which would be pretty important to have women at the table. So
it would help. How about that?
Yeah.
That part. That part, yes.
It would be helpful. So another really important topic that you mentioned that I also love, and it connects the dots on all of these things, is what's in your bag. And I love it because it really does, you look to yourself as a well of information. And so I would love if you share a little bit more about, maybe even how did you come up with that? Where did it come from? And how you've seen it applied before.
I mean, it came from when I went to study to be a mediator. And the teacher said, what's in your bag? And we were like, what is he talking about? But when you become a mediator, you have to dig deeper than the onion layers that are front, or as we like to say now, the representative for which you would like to bring forth. You have to dig deep to understand, why do you do what you do? Why do you say what you do? We know what's on the first level of a bag. We know what's in the middle of a bag, more or less, kind of, sort of. But I always like to do the analogy of when COVID hit and everyone started digging deep in the bag, looking for hand sanitizer or those gift bags or something. And you're like, there's something underneath here. I didn't know this was in here. And you start finding all these other things you've been looking for. That's what it means to really deep down and go, what's in my bag? What is it that keeps me from doing this, or why I do this? And how can I take what's in my bag and celebrate it, understand it, and use it to move forward as a positive, not a negative all the time? You have to know who you are in order to understand who someone else is and how you could be of service or a benefit or added value, as we like to say in the corporate world. Because as you're looking at me as added value, I'm looking at you as added value. And that's how we find value together, when we know and understand what's in each other's bag.
Yeah. So let's dig into the bag a little bit. What is an example of something that people have in their bags?
Oh, see, it's more what they should have. I did that's a shorter list, easier. People have their history in their bag, their community, the one for which they were raised in, and the one for which they've become an adult in, and the one for which they are working in presently, and lots of other things around them. And so if you don't review and see maybe the arc of your life and how you have expanded to meet new people and to travel and to try new things, and be open to accepting difference, not always understanding, then that, it is part of what's in your bag. I hope active listening is in your bag. Can I just tell should be in your bag? Understanding should be in your bag. Empathy is good to have in your bag, and people have it at different degrees. Understanding the difference between power and how to use it and privileges, because those are two different words, and how to use them should be in your bag, because we're all privileged because we woke up today and we have internet. I mean, we had food and we had house. And so there's privileges that come with the power of privilege. And as leaders in whatever field you're in, understanding those things that are in your bag will be helpful to understand that your privilege and power can empower others.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the difference of knowing how to use what's in your bag to build, as opposed to defend or use against.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So if we were to think about that, you know, one of the things I know we have talked about is this idea of meeting people where they are and identifying or really acknowledging that people are on very different parts of the journey. You know, you mentioned empathy already. You mentioned active listening. You know, there's all kinds of, you know, there's microaggressions. You talked about privilege. There are things that can be knowledge gaps for people in understanding how to navigate this diversity, equity, and inclusion work. But if there were, you know, advice that you might give to someone who's really a novice on the journey, just starting out, wanting to figure out how to maybe make a difference in their company, maybe help their company along, you know, what advice might you offer to somebody?
My first question is always, why is it important to you? What does it mean to you personally? And then what and how do you see it fitting into the company that you're in? And how do you address that it's important? And if you are someone that has a voice, that has that power to use your voice, regardless of what level you are, to express the fact that you're looking you don't think anyone wants to take the pie away. You're looking to be able to offer the pie, share the pie, be able to make more pies together, to put it really simply. But to really say, you have to ask, why is it important? See, and it has to be, once you've said that, what's that checklist that is not a checklist? Is it the bottom line? Is it because it's legal issues? Is it because we don't want to get sued? Is it because it's right? And then once we know why we want to do this, how do we implement inclusion as part of this? Because diversity, we're all diverse, and throwing in a whole bunch of Black and people of color or disabilities or women just to say you have it doesn't mean anything if they don't have equity, again, more than money, access into how to grow. And if they are not part of the inclusion of having a valid voice. I did not say belonging, because we all know, if you ever spoken to me, how much I do not like that word. It is not up to a company, in a place, or people to decide where you belong. You get to decide where you belong. It is up to that company, place, or thing to build a culture of inclusion, of having a valid voice, even if the valid voice may not be needed at that particular moment.
Yeah, it's like so much to unpack in what you just said. So one, really thinking what your why is.
Yes, always ask why.
Right, and I think of you know, the mantra that is all off, or the data point that's often used, is that diverse teams outperform homogeneous teams. I know at my company, we talk a lot about unleashing the potential, you know, of every person that is in our organization. And when we do that, what are the conditions that are created to cultivate that? Which things like safety, but things like feeling, you know, really being included and having access to the table. But all of those things create these outcomes where we get to do more together because we're all showing up as our full selves. And I do think that having lived that, like I really get that probably more than now than ever. Because when you can show up to work as your fully integrated whole self, it really does unleash a potential in you that you probably you've been hiding pieces of yourself at different points in time. So
that goes back to, you said, meet people where they are. Everyone can't be as brilliant as you may think they should be, or as woke as you think they should be, or as whatever as you think they should be. You definitely, if you are a leader, if you are someone that just even understands what's in your bag, regardless of your title, then you understand that when you approach someone, you approach them for who they are and not for who you think they should be or who you want them to be, because that is when their strength is allowed to come out through their work.
Yeah. Honoring every human for the gifts that they are and the gifts that they can contribute.
And it sounds very Pollyanna. So I want to stop that for a second, because it sounds like, oh, kumbaya. This is nothing kumbaya about this. This is hard work. And everybody that comes through, you may not want them to come through the way there may be a reason why you want them to do something else. I get that. But understanding, how do you build on the strength as opposed to weakness? And how do you address the weakness in order for it to become and shift, hopefully, a growth? But that does not work for everyone. And there are some people that do not belong to continue to be on that journey. And that is the same people that may not want to be on the journey that is to build diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. This journey is not for everyone. But I hope that everyone has an understanding of why it can, as you said, be important. And the strength of diverse teams makes the difference.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this was fun. This was really fun. Always so good to be able to chat with my friend. I thank you for the work that you're doing, the impact that you're making across industries, and really appreciate that you were able to bring your time and your talent and your passion to our group. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat now. I appreciate the invite, and I always love speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm just going to jump in. Thank you so much for that wonderful and thought-provoking discussion. To everyone listening to this edition of Women in Retail Talks, thank you as well. I just wanted to repeat the name of Leslie's book. It is Expand Beyond Your Current Culture, Diversity and Inclusion for CEOs in Leadership. And you can get it at all your favorite bookstores, Amazon, local bookstores, wherever you prefer. For more information on this podcast, I'd love for you to please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. If you've enjoyed the episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. So until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks. Thanks so much, everyone.